Welcome to Batilipe's workshop. Today is just a quickie. I'm going to show you how I redid my wife's wheelbarrow. It had had some problems. We've kept it outdoors most of the time. It's about 5 years old. And the front area where the wheel is, the axle was loose, and the front bar that connects the handles in the front was had loosened up and was banging against the wheel. We were going to buy a brand new wheelbarrow, but geez, they cost between $130 and $200 for a new wheelbarrow. So I was just going to do whatever I could to fix it, and then just went on Amazon. I found out you can buy a whole new axle with new brackets to hold the axle with new bearings and everything for about $10, $11. And I found out I could buy a new front wheel. And I got the run flat, the kind that doesn't need any air, for about $22. So a total of about $35, including shipping and handling. And if you go on Amazon, you'll find lots of different brands with lots of options. So you can find what suits you best. But this is an example of a simple project that looks really easy, but it got a lot more complicated because nothing really fit. The bolts they provided were too short. The axle was a little bit too long, and the spacers, the spacing in the brackets that hold the axle didn't quite match the holes. So I had to do a little bit of extra stuff. So again, I'm not the expert on wheelbarrows. It's just what I did, and I thought it might be helpful for you to see it. So let's get on with the video. So this is my wife's wheelbarrow, and she's been having trouble with it. So I decided to give it an overhaul. And this is the front bar that connects the two front ends, wooden handles, I suppose, and the tire fits about here. But this thing was loose. This bolt and the bolt on the other side was loose, so this metal piece was hanging down and rubbing on the tire, so it was hard for her to push. Didn't film it, but what I did is I took it off. I had to actually grind the bolts, the old bolts, off. They were rusted shut. But I got this off and painted it, cleaned it up, painted it, and bolted it back on. Only this time I used a couple of stainless steel bolts I had. And notice it's going forward to the front end like it's supposed to. So that gives a lot of room, a lot of clearance for the wheel to turn. It won't bump into that anymore. And the other problem is these brackets that hold the axle on were really bent up badly. So we're no longer really able to hold the axle, which is just a piece of 5/8 inch rod that goes across to hold the wheel. So they were so bent up, I just didn't think I could pound them out to fix them. Plus, again, the nuts and bolts that were holding them on were completely rusted out. So I just ground them off with a grinder, and I'm just going to toss all that. There's nothing really wrong with the axle. It's a little rusty, but turns out for about $10, you could buy a brand new nice axle. All the pieces you need, all pretty much fit. I'll have to cut probably a ½ inch off the axle to make it fit properly. It was $10 or $11 on Amazon. And there are all kinds of brands out there. And they came with the bushings to hold the wheel, which I'll get to in a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off about ½ inch off the end of an axle, and then fit it back on. And they provided the nuts and bolts and everything, so then I'll be able to put a wheel on. And I could have used the old wheel, but I decided instead to buy, for $23, a run flat wheel. So a wheel that'll never run flat. And that's here in this box. So let me get that open. Too much stuff here. Let's see. So it's the same size, 13 inch as the old wheel, same width it looks like. Same width, same diameter. It's plastic though, so it's a lot lighter weight. And it's got new bearings in it, real bearings, actual bearings. So they don't sound the greatest, but they are wheel bearings. So I'm going to run this over to the bandsaw, and I'm just going to clip off about a 3/8 of an inch or ½ inch off that so it'll fit better. So here I'm at my bandsaw, just a little Wheelbarrow bandsaw hooked up on a swag table. So now I'm at my grinder. This is a adjustable speed grinder. I like to grind a little slower, easier to control, so I got it set at 1800. Tap it a little bit. That's it. I can't say enough praise for adjustable speed grinders. It's incredible. So the first thing I noticed here is the holes don't line up very well. There's a bit of a gap. And I could re-drill the hole, maybe make it elongated a little bit. But instead, I'm going to just widen the gap here with a couple of chisels. So let's go over to the vise and take a look at that. So what I'm going to do is just put it gently in the vise. Take 2 chisels, put them in there kind of at the same time. There. So that spread them out a little bit. I think the holes will match and the axle will still fit in there just fine. So I'm finally ready to put everything back on. So here's the wheel. Got the bracket on one side, a spacer or two, and then bracket on the other side with spacers so the wheel can't slide around. And it goes underneath. I want the bolts going down, so I'm just going to put this in here like that. Hang that on there. And then I can do the same on this side, putting a washer and these longer bolts. Just a little fussing around. Put a lock washer and a nut in the back. You won't be able to see these, but it's okay. So I have the washer, the bolt, lock washer, and the nut. Washer, bolt, lock washer, and the nut. Now this one, I'll try to get a different one out. It's not threading on right, so make sure I get something easier to deal with. I think it's the bolt, not the nut, so I'm going to take the bolt off. Spares. There we go. That fits better. Now I take my wrenches. I can tighten everything down. at first. Center down. Top. Okay, now just check that they're all good and snug. I don't need to overdo it. It's not like these get continual use all the time. I think my wife uses this about once or twice a week. But she does carry a lot of gravel, and we use shell gravel a lot here, so she fills it full of gravel and mulch all the time. Okay, so the wheel turns nice. We've got spacers so it can't go too far back and forth. Got good clearance on the front. Got the axle underneath where it's supposed to go. So that should do it. So I can go give it back to my wife and hopefully she'll be happy. And here's the finished product. Well, that's the end of the wheelbarrow video. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye.